Right now, somewhere in the jungles of Central America, a ship the length of 4 football fields is suspended 26 meters in the air. This vessel is climbing a staircase made of water, a mechanism depending entirely on the local environment. To move just one of these vessels from one ocean to the other, the Panama Canal consumes approximately 52 million gallons of fresh water. While the canal connects 2 oceans, it cannot use salt water for its operations. Seawater would rapidly corrode the enormous steel mechanisms and contaminate the primary source of drinking water for millions of Panamanians. This leaves the entire system dependent on a single resource, the rainfall within the surrounding watershed. This structural reliance on fresh water means that even minor shifts in local weather can turn a mechanical triumph into a vulnerability for the global supply chain. Bypassing this shortcut requires sailing around South America, a detour adding 16 days and massive fuel costs. Therefore, this 50-mile stretch handles 6% of global trade and 40% of U.S. container traffic. The hulls passing through these locks carry the material basics of global commerce: liquefied natural gas for Tokyo, industrial coal and automotive parts, and fresh, perishable produce. When a bottleneck forms here, the impact ripples outward. It creates an immediate shock event for the global economy, affecting manufacturing schedules and the price of goods on store shelves thousands of miles away. In the 1880s, Ferdinand de Lesseps arrived in Panama attempting to replicate his success at the Suez Canal. His plan was to dig a sea-level trench straight through the isthmus. Panama proved far more hostile than the Egyptian desert. The jungle terrain was mountainous and dense. After a decade of work, the French effort collapsed into bankruptcy, with disease and the difficult geography claiming approximately 20,000 lives. When the United States took over the project in 1904, engineers abandoned the sea-level design. Instead, they dammed the Chagres River to create a massive artificial lake high above the oceans. This lock and lake design opened in 1914, with the SS Ancon making the first official transit. The United States operated the waterway until transferring full control back to Panama in 1999. The lock system was a brilliant solution to an impassable mountain, but it birthed a permanent structural dependency on local rainfall. The canal does not use industrial pumps to lift vessels. It functions as a gravity-fed water elevator. Water stored in the high lake simply flows downhill into the lock chambers, and ships rise along with the water level. Vessels are raised in stages until they reach the level of Gatun Lake. They sail across the continental divide and are then lowered in stages back down to sea level on the opposite coast. Inside the historic chambers, ships move under the guidance of electric locomotives known as mules. These vehicles run on tracks along the lock walls, using cables to keep ships centered during their vertical transit. This entire mechanism requires a constant, massive volume of water to be released toward the sea. The balance of the system relies on the natural water cycle being able to replenish those losses. In 2022, the region entered a severe drought. With the rain failing to arrive, Gatun Lake rapidly receded, dropping well below normal operational levels. The receding water forced a difficult choice. Gatun Lake had to supply the canal's locks, while simultaneously providing drinking water for more than 2 million people. To conserve the remaining water, the Canal Authority reduced vessel drafts, forcing ships to carry less cargo, and slashed daily transits from 36 down to a record low of 18. This bottleneck triggered a massive traffic jam. At the peak of the crisis, 135 vessels sat anchored outside the canal, waiting for a slot that might not come for weeks. To bypass the queue, companies began bidding millions of dollars at auction just for the right to jump the line. Even with half the normal traffic, the canal generated a record $4.98 billion in revenue in 2024. The drought had transformed a reliable transit route into a volatile auction house, pricing out smaller shipping companies and disrupting the predictability of global supply chains. Panama has attempted to adapt through engineering. The 2016 expansion added larger locks with water-saving basins designed to recycle 60% of the water used during each crossing. To combat more frequent droughts, engineers have proposed the Rio Indio project. This plan involves a massive dam and an 8-kilometer tunnel to divert water from a nearby river into Gatun Lake. The project faces significant hurdles, including the legal and social complexities of displacing local communities. Furthermore, it cannot be finished before the next El Niño weather pattern is forecast to return in 2027. While Panama has a history of engineering miracles, infrastructure projects are currently being challenged by the speed of shifting climate patterns. Facing unpredictable delays, global shipping giants are looking elsewhere. Some are unloading cargo onto trucks to bypass the isthmus by road, while others are redirecting their fleets around the southern tip of Africa. As the canal's reliability falters, the United States and China have intensified their rivalry to secure leverage over the logistics infrastructure in the region. For decades, a Hong Kong-based firm operated key ports at both ends of the canal. However, following intense pressure from the United States regarding strategic influence, Panama annulled those concessions and took control of the terminals in early 2024. The Panama Canal was originally built to conquer geography. Now, its greatest challenge may be nature itself.